If you could sell your beauty for a bunch of money and also so you could date this really rich guy that lives in an awesome penthouse, would you? I think I would. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here, back with another Tales from the Crypt episode review. That's right, we're going through the entire Tales from the Crypt series here on the channel, so make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. This time around, we're taking a look at episode 4 from season 1 called Only Sin Deep. This one stars Leah Thompson from Back to the Future, Caroline in the City, and Howard the Duck. Yeah, ever seen that one? Speaking of Howards, the episode was directed by Howard Deutsch, who you may know from Pretty in Pink, The Great Outdoors, and Some Kind of Wonderful, which also stars Leah Thompson. In fact, one thing I learned from putting together this review is that Deutsch and Thompson are married. They met working on Some Kind of Wonderful back in 1987 and were married in July of '89, just a month after this episode aired. And this one was written by Fred Decker, who has a special place in my heart for writing The Monster Squad, which is just friggin' awesome. He also wrote Night of the Creeps, House, House 2, The Second Story, and RoboCop 3, so the less said about that, the better. So this one kicks off with Leah Thompson's character Sylvia Vane, who is a lady of the night, but she's an independent agent. No pimp, no strings, nothing like that. And I gotta say, I think Leah Thompson makes an odd decision here because she uses this really unnaturally sounding deep voice, and she kind of goes in and out of it, so it's a bit distracting and pretty silly. Now, she's had enough of life on the streets, and she's got her eyes set on a very wealthy socialite who lives in this super sweet penthouse. He rolls up to his place every night in a limo, hot chick on his arm, and Sylvia looks over there and is like, I gotta get me some of that. So after a local pimp tries to force her into his ranks, she decides to pretend to be sweet, pulls him into an alley, robs him, takes everything away from him, and goes to pawn it off so she can make a bunch of money to, I don't know, impress this rich guy? I really don't know why she's doing it, but if she doesn't do this, the story doesn't continue, so let's just roll with it. From there, she heads to a pawn shop to sell off all of her stolen goods, but the shopkeeper can sense it right away. He says that if these things were any hotter, they'd burn a hole right through his hand, and the shopkeeper is played by Britt Leach that I recognize from movies like Weird Science. He was actually in The Great Outdoors, so gosh, we're sort of getting some John Hughes intermingling along with the Howard Deutsch thing. It's actually really cool in a show like Tales from the Crypt, these people get to, work with each other again and revisit that relationship. Getting back to the story, the shopkeeper ain't into it at all, but he does see something of Sylvia's that he really wants: her beauty. You see, the shopkeeper's wife passed away some time ago, and he uses this dark magic by stealing other women's beauty, giving it to his dead wife, and even though she's sitting there in an open casket, she looks as beautiful as she did the day he met her. It's actually kind of sweet if you think about it. Part of the dark magic is creating this mold of the women's faces, and Sylvia doesn't really think anything of it. She takes her giant stack of cash. He tells her she has 4 months, she can come back, pay him, get it back. She doesn't really care. She goes and finds Mr. Socialite, just waltzes right into his penthouse party. She pretty much gets stopped as soon as she walks in and just walks right past the security guy, but he's more of a butler than like a real security guy, and right away she just looks at the guy that she wants. He just follows her. He completely leaves his girlfriend. This guy is not very committed at all and immediately starts hitting on her, and she's like, I'm the girl of your dreams. Except for her voice is a little bit deeper than that. And I gotta say, nothing against Leah Thompson. I do think she's beautiful and everything like that. I just don't quite see her as being The kind of woman that when she walks into a room, like the record screeches and like every guy turns and looks. Just a personal thing, not trying to offend anyone, but I do applaud Tales from the Crypt for their economical storytelling. This thing just moves. So cut to 4 months later and these two are just living in bliss. Now you would think that Mr. Price, played by Brett Cullen, who was recently Thomas Wayne in 2019's Joker, you may think that this guy's probably some sort of jerk. I mean, he left his other girlfriend just to be with Sylvia, but 4 months later, he seems like a really sweet, genuinely nice boyfriend. But Sylvia is noticing that something's changed about her. She looks aged, wrinkles around the eyes. She doesn't quite look as beautiful as she used to. Now, Ronnie, the boyfriend, he's really sweet about it, says she's still a total knockout, but she starts to realize that maybe that pawn shop owner was up to something that she didn't quite understand. She rushes to the shop, tries to buy her beauty back, but she's 1 day late. Man, isn't that how it always works? She does get one last chance from the shop owner though, but he's raised his price and she's got to come up with $100 grand real quick. I mean, she's wrinkly as all get out. She goes home to the penthouse, starts turning the place upside down to find hidden cash, jewelry, whatever. And Ronnie comes in and catches her, but he doesn't know it's her. She pulls out a gun, shoots him about 1,000,000 times. It's really violent and heartbreaking, especially because at this point I'm sort of thinking like, Ronnie's actually kind of a nice guy. I mean, usually you would think that the rich socialite guy would be kind of a scumbag, but I quite like him. She foolishly leaves the weapon behind so her prints are all over. She goes back to the pawn shop, tries again to buy her beauty back, but the shopkeeper shows that her picture is in the newspaper. She is wanted for murder. So if she goes back to her old looks, she's gonna end up in jail immediately. The episode ends with her walking the streets, lost, alone, holding the mold of her face, and she bumps into one of her old prostitute friends who also doesn't recognize her. The mold falls, shatters, and just like that mold, she is truly broken. This episode's pretty interesting because, you know, it explores those themes of what you would do for beauty, what you would do for success, to get that guy, to get that girl, to get the thing that you think you want. What would you sacrifice? What would you give up? And what would it turn you into in that pursuit? Now, clearly Sylvia is a total sociopath from the beginning of the episode. She's never a good person. Her intentions are always just to get what she wants, and she doesn't really think about anything else. I don't know, maybe I thought that through the course of 4 months with her boyfriend Ronnie that she would maybe change a little bit, but we find out when push comes to shove, she's willing to kill him in cold blood just to be beautiful again. Real talk, this is probably the weakest episode of season 1 that I've watched so far, and it's not like it's bad or anything. I mean, the writing is good, the direction is great, the episode is shot beautifully, everything works as far as that goes, but there is some music during the montage scene where she's trying on a bunch of new clothes, and it has this ridiculous campy jungle cat growl, and they use it a couple other times as well, and while it's playful and all that kind of stuff, this episode has a pretty serious dark tone, so to me it just sort of seems out of place. Makes it seem like very much a product of its time, you know, late 80s, early 90s, so it sort of sticks out in that sense. But the side performers here, you know, the bit actors, they do a really great job. To me, they sort of hold this thing together and make it feel believable, and the effects are incredible. The squibs, when Sylvia shoots Ronnie, those squibs are amazing. They don't quite get to that RoboCop level because we're not looking at that kind of budget, but man, they're really impressive, and that part of the story completely took me by surprise. I did not see that turn happening, and it was pretty shocking. All in all, the episode is pretty darn good though. I mean, that's the great thing about Tales from the Crypt. They're only asking for 25 minutes of your time. So even if you find your interest is wavering or an actor's decision sort of puts you off a little bit, by the time you realize that, you're about halfway through, and it's just easy enough to see the whole thing through, get to watch the twist at the end, see the comeuppance, and get that tale of morality satisfaction that Tales from the Crypt provides in droves. That's gonna wrap it up for this review of Tales from the Crypt Season 1, Episode 4, only sin deep. But I want to know what you guys think. I'll provide a link in the description below so you can check out the episode here on YouTube. And big shout out to Eli Cortez. Eli sent me the first 4 seasons of this show on DVD, so that inspired me to go through this whole thing, watch every single one, and review them for you guys. So thank you so much, Eli. Really appreciate it, bud. And you know what? Thank you guys for tuning in, giving the video a watch, and hanging out with us here for a bit. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with the Tales from the Crypt lover in your life. Until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.